I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to discourage people from starting businesses and stuff online, because I mean, if you really have something that's going for you,
Mm-hmm.
like if you have like say you have a logistics company, then it's like you probably have like something big there to start, you
Mm-hmm.
know. 'Cause I mean, obviously with the online growing, there's more shipping, you need logistics and stuff. Or if someone has like a sock company, um, I don't want to think like, oh yeah, just put the whole sock idea on the side burner and just start gigging. It's like, your sock idea might be a really good idea.
All right.
It's just that, for just anybody, it's like you don't really have an idea of what to do. You might just be overwhelmed with just even coming up with an idea to begin, or you might just follow some random guru and just follow his idea, and then his idea might be something that's not going to work in anymore. So
Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Family Reflections. I am on the call today with a longtime friend of mine and someone whose journey I've really been following. I'm really proud of him. Andre Campbell, who is the founder of Ascend Media. Andre, can you tell the people hello a little bit about yourself?
hello, everybody, and thanks for having me on the podcast. So as you said, I'm the founder of Ascend Media. We started in 2016, and primarily what the company is a performance marketing company. And prior to that, it's a long story about how I got into it, but I went to school with Ketty. We were doing engineering together, but it was around like my senior year I realized I didn't really want to do a full career in this. And then when I got a job outside of university, I realized it's not working. So out of school, I started a business. It was actually Thunder Rank at the time. It was an SEO company, and we were doing client like basically marketing for different local businesses. But I'm not the strongest when it comes to sales. Like sales is not my strong point. So I kind of got to the point where I was like, you know what, instead of me trying to sell myself to people, let me just switch to performance marketing. And that's what our business is right now. We're strictly performance marketing. We only get paid based on how we perform. And it's the easier sales cycle with picking up, clients. It's like you're not really paying unless we're generating new results.
All right. So hold on, because I know the viewers and listeners are in here like, what? Like a lot of people don't know what performance marketing is. A lot of people don't even really know that much about digital marketing.
Yeah.
And folks, I want you guys to be aware that is what we're really going to be talking about today. Andre is really a digital entrepreneur. He's been able to use his skills surrounding the internet and SEO, which stands for search engine optimization, which we'll get to in a little bit. But he's been able to use these things to leverage to create his own company and form his own brand. And I'm really proud of him. I was there in school, as he said. He mentioned that back in school he realized that that was the way that he wanted to go. And I remember him saying like, "Yo, yeah, I'm gonna do this."
Yeah.
And at the time I was confident that he could, because it's something that he had been doing while we were in school pretty successfully. So maybe Andre, you could tell us the story from maybe a more of a bird's eye view. So kind of stepping back even before you got into college, when you really just got introduced to the internet and started tinkering around with things.
Oh, okay. So, back in the day, it started back, I think, in grade 6. There was a social media network called Friend Pages. I don't know if you remember that.
Pages.
Yeah.
I never heard of that.
So Friend Pages, it was kind of like a similar concept to MySpace, where you could customize your profile and you had to know HTML to customize it, make it like pimp it out and whatnot.
Right.
So that's kind of how I learned HTML. And I realized I could build websites with HTML, so I started doing websites for different businesses as like a side, just like make some pocket changes, like a young teenager. Um, and then I also did web hosting because I was like that could also be another side hustle.
Right. So hang
And
on, right there, right. For the Caribbean version of MySpace was High Five. I don't know how many of y'all remember High Five. The whole deal on High Five was how cool you could make your profile stand out. You had these little widgets that you could pop into your profile and have dancing across your screen. And the only way to do this would be to copy and paste these lines of code, and that is HTML, right? So ambitious people would learn how to do that and learn how to change colors and really make their profile stand out. And it turns out that Andre was one of these ambitious people who then took that step even further into actually creating a website. So what was the incentive there for you that first time to try to create a website?
I think at the time, like I was trying to find summer jobs and whatnot, and I just couldn't, find a summer job. And I figured, might as well, make websites for other people. But like I've always liked to dabble around with stuff. So like once you learn, you're pimping out your profile, and then you start learning more about how different stuff comes together. Then you learn about how to build a website. And like, okay, this is cool. And then after that, you realize, you could actually make money off this. There's people who want websites.
Okay.
So, yeah, you just start making websites, for local people, that churches, organizations, stuff like that, charities and whatnot. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And right there, that's something that intimidates a lot of people. I remember even back in the day, before web hosting platforms like Wix and Squarespace and a lot of
Yeah.
these hosting platforms, nobody really thought of taking that extra step into learning how to create a website. How much easier would you say that's become?
Oh, making websites way easy. Like back, like we had to actually use raw code to make website. Now you just use Wix or Squarespace, and
Right.
they take care of all the back end stuff for you, and you just edit the front end, just move boxes, and and they have templates and all that stuff. So it makes it way easier.
Right. Right. But yeah, so carry on with your story then.
So yeah, like back in the day, like I was doing web design, and I was also doing web hosting. And I had the web hosting company when I started university, and it was generally like, pocket change every single month. It wasn't anything significant. So at the time, I was busy with university. I had to sell the business. So I sold it to some guy, my first year. And then throughout university, I spent, those 4 years completely offline, just focused on, doing my studies. And then it was like my fourth year, I think I saw how much money some people were making online. And then I wasn't really happy with engineering that much. So it's like those two things came together. I was like, yo, I put all this stuff on the back burner. I could have been so much further ahead at this point. And like, I don't even like what I'm doing. But it's like, I only did it because that was a traditional path. It's like, if you grow up in like a Caribbean household, it's like, you got to go to university,
Right. And that's what I was just about to ask you. I was about to ask you why, if you were already doing this and you already a business owner, you're already turning some level of profit, why wasn't it attractive for you to just go that way directly instead of hopping into engineering?
Because throughout the process is like, you always have to have a backup plan. That's what you're, like business, like growing up, like business has not really been a viable main solution to a career. It's not a viable career option. Like growing up, it's like you hear all these stats, 90% of businesses fail and all this stuff. But
Yeah.
the crazy thing is that now, because of the internet, it has changed business significantly than it was, in the past. Like, back in the past when you started business, it's a lot harder because your own market is like your own neighborhood. And it's like within that neighborhood, you also have to find the subsection of people that actually need your services and are willing to actually pay for it. With the internet, you could sell to people all over the world. So it's like your entire market is significantly bigger
Right.
than, your neighborhood up the street. So, even for our business, like I'm in Canada, but all the money we're making is coming from the US. Like
Okay.
90, like a significant portion. And, we have like we're generating revenue from, Australia, United Kingdom, like countries all over the world. And that's just literally the power of the internet.
Yeah, I didn't mean to derail you. You were telling us about when you just
Yeah.
came out of, yeah.
Um, so yeah, like I back to where I was saying before. Yeah, it was like like 4 years into university, I realized, I was so behind on the online stuff. And I really started to see how big it was booming. Like literally between like I think literally when we were in university, like between, that period of 2008 to, 2015, like that general era
Yeah.
is probably when the exponential growth of the internet really started to, really started to happen.
Right.
So, when I left university, I'm like, oh dang, like I've been sleeping and there's a lot of opportunity I've been sleeping on. So yeah, I started, I tried to learn how to do SEO at the time. I started doing client SEO work and for people that don't know what SEO is, SEO is
Yeah.
search engine optimization. So that's pretty much getting your website to rank higher in Google or Yahoo or any other search engine when when people are searching for keywords related to your business. But I didn't really like that much because the process is very slow. And it's like, even when you get to the top of the search engines, you're not really guaranteed to get traffic. So I shifted to paid marketing. Paid marketing is basically where you basically pay for exposure.
Right.
And it's a
So
lot faster.
let me hop in again because I want to really do the viewers and listeners a favor in trying to slow down our conversation because they might not know exactly what we're talking about. So
Okay.
when you left school, right, and you decided to hop into this full time, uh, was it really easy? Because it sounds like it was really easy.
Oh no, it was far from easy. It was far from easy. Like
Because we live in an age now where everybody sees these ads on YouTube, especially if you do anything with advertising or you do anything with digital marketing. You get these constant ads on YouTube that are like, "Oh yeah, you should be a Amazon affiliate, or you should do
yeah,
drop
yeah,
shipping. You should
yeah.
do all these things that sound really easy, and you see somebody smiling and saying like, you need to hop in, but on the real life front, I know it's possible. You're proof that it's possible, but how easy is it?
Honestly, it's really not easy. It's super hard. Like even now with our business as it is, like we're generating good amounts of money, like well enough to pay myself and pay the people on the team.
Mhm.
I'm still also continuously testing different things. So it's like I have a feel, like I've tested, uh, Shopify, affiliate marketing, a whole bunch of stuff. And the consensus is that it's not really easy, regardless of whatever you try. But you just got to focus on one thing. And I feel like a lot of things, like I don't mean to discourage people, but I feel like a lot of these things is becoming more difficult as more people get online,
All right.
and more capital is required to really get the ball moving with a lot of these things. Like I was talking to one guy about like Amazon, like fulfillment by Amazon, for example. He was saying that to even get the ball rolling with Amazon affiliate to really make any money, like you're gonna probably need like at least six figures. Um, yeah, like it's a lot. So,
Wow.
and the reason why is because you have to have significant inventory to send to Amazon's warehouses, and then with that, then you get, I guess, higher preferences when people are searching for products like your product,
All right.
because then you end up, appearing as like a bigger supplier. So yeah, like overall, it's not easy, but um, a lot of people kind of, I guess, overrate the whole, starting your own business from scratch and doing Amazon FBA and all this stuff. But it's like one small thing, and I was just thinking about it yesterday. I'm like, there's there's other ways where you could actually contribute to a lot of these companies and learn the ins and outs of these companies by becoming a subcontractor for them. Like for
Right.
me, I hire a lot of subcontractors, and like I actually have like I have three subcontractors that I've worked with from actually St. Lucia, and
Really?
they write content for me and things like that. So, and you can use websites like Upwork.com, Freelancer.com, Guru.com, and you could use these sites to basically just post, set up a profile, show people what type of services you can provide, and
Right.
people will bid on your services.
Right.
And different services you can provide could be something simple like writing content, or just being a virtual assistant, like just managing simple tasks, Excel spreadsheets, things like that. And that is significantly easier than starting a business. Like for me, it took me at least probably like maybe 2 years, 3 years before I even really started making any, like a livable wage, to be
Right.
honest.
Right.
So, yeah,
Yeah, no, and I think that is so valuable. That's incredibly valuable what you just said, because I think especially in the face of this pandemic, we have a lot of people who are stuck at home. They may have been laid off, or and many of their sources of income have been, shut down or damaged. And now, we're just increasing awareness of the gig economy, where,
yeah,
you can set yourself, you can take the skills that you have these skills,
yeah,
you can write, you can work in Excel, you can do all these things, post it,
yeah,
just post it up, and you can find something that you can use to eat, and
yeah,
it's real. And so I think definitely that's a very good point. You don't need to reinvent the wheel or create an entire company, but you can monetize your skills.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
exactly.
So tell us a little bit, and guys, I don't want this to be doom and gloom, but I want to show how Andre was able to come out of, he mentioned that it can be difficult. So how would you advise someone to push through that difficulty to the other side?
Um, for me, like you kind of have to like focus on the end goal. Cause I mean, a lot of times, there's gonna be days where you're gonna feel like crap, like to keep it 100. And some days you don't even feel like working. Uh, but yeah, you just gotta, and you also have a balanced life. Cause I mean, you see all these gurus and stuff out there. It's like, yo, hustle. I work like 500 hours a week. It's like, okay, like, I mean, and it's like, I mean, when I got into business, like I knew it was gonna be hard. I do have to work hard and whatnot, but my end goal was not to be working 500 hours a week for the rest of my life. Like
Right.
that's not really something to aspire to. Like I do work hard, and I like some people say I'm a workaholic, but at the same time, you have to enjoy life as well. So find those other things. If you like to go for a bike ride, or play music, or travel, or whatever it is, like do those things. And I think a lot of those things kind of helps you balance, and just helps with your mindset, your mental health, all that stuff, when stuff are not always super easy when it comes to
Yeah.
starting business, right? So yeah.
Right. So my question to you then is, how do you find that balance? Like where where do you find that balance? That's difficult,
Well,
right?
yeah, it's difficult. Like I mean, I don't think there's one way, like there's no like one rubric to how to do it. I think everyone needs to know what works for them. uh, you know yeah, it depends on you have to like be self-aware and kind of just know what works for you, I would say. Yeah,
All right. Okay.
yeah,
Well, so aside from finding that work-life balance, which I think we can agree is much more difficult for any aspiring entrepreneur, um, what are some other pertinent lessons that you've learned along the way that you think new entrepreneurs should know?
um one of the main things that I learned, and I remember when I first started, I had this one guy, and he told me to read this book called The E-Myth. And
Mm.
that book is a really good book. I'd recommend for anybody starting out in business. Because as I was saying before, people like, get into business and like they think, work hard, hustle, but it's not so much about how hard you work, but about how smart you work. And a lot of like when you like, I mean, obviously when you start off, like you have to do a lot of the work yourself, but as
Right.
you start growing, you want your goal to be able to build systems where, you're not really doing everything. Like if you think about like say you're a plumber and you're the visionary for the company, and then you're also running the finances, the books, and then you're also doing the plumbing work. It's like you're gonna burn out quick. And like that also helps that also uh goes on top of like what I was saying before about the whole burnout, and like, like you burn out so much faster when you're doing so many different things at once. So in short, I'll just say make sure you have processes and plan to eventually hire assistants to help with certain roles, and hire people that are stronger in those roles. And also figure out the parts of the business that you actually like working on and double down on those. And then try to, systemize to have processes, software, people doing the other types of stuff, right?
Yeah, and
Uh,
I think a good example there is imagine building a building, right?
yeah,
I spent years in the construction industry, and you can't be the project manager, the plumbing, the electrical guy. You can't be all
yeah,
of those people at once, right?
yeah,
And so, in order to see that final goal of a full project end, you need to outsource. You need to, as you mentioned earlier, hire subcontractors. And just really understand that no man is an island, right?
exactly. Like you need
Yeah.
a team to really build anything. So can't do it all by yourself.
All right. Is there any other lesson that you want to share there?
Um, Another lesson, well, what I was saying before is make sure you spend time to, balance. Uh, spend time with people, friends, family. Do other things that you enjoy. Pick up a hobby, things like that. You know, and also stepping away from your work as well also gives you time to really think and kind of strategize how to go forward. Like I remember, this is gonna sound so crazy, but back in university, I was working on this problem, like, late nights, you know what it is. You're working
Yeah.
on these crazy engineering problems late until like 2, 3 in the morning until your brain just shuts down. And then my roommates would tell me, you hear me saying like mathematical problems in my sleep. I was like, what's going on? And then like sometimes I would wake up and it's like I wake up with like a light bulb moment. It's like that's how you solve the problem.
All right.
And a lot of people underrate, and I never really took it in, but it's like, a lot of stuff goes on your subconscious mind that you don't even think about. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you just need to step away from what you're doing. I think, having those other stuff, uh, you know, you could be going for a bike ride or a jog or at the gym, and it's like you have this crazy light bulb moment that could help you with your business. And, so, just kind of have that balance. And, it's okay to not be hustling 24/7 and, killing yourself 500 hours a week. So,
Well, and that's the thing about hustle culture, right? Because
yeah,
especially, and I think this is much less so in the Caribbean than the US, but you have these gurus coming online telling you, all right, listen to me, this is how I built this $65 million business. For 10 years I didn't sleep,
yeah,
and
I
I
know, yeah,
slept under my desk, and
yeah.
my family didn't hear from me. And
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. To some degree, I began buying into that, especially in some of the more recent years, where I
yeah,
started to prioritize work over play. And I think there's definitely a time for that, to hone
yeah,
in and focus on what you're doing. But at the same time, in order for what you're doing to be sustainable, which is what
yeah.
you want, in order for your growth to be sustainable, you have to be okay. Like your
Mhm.
mind,
Yeah, yeah,
your emotional health, all these things have to be intact in order for your growth and your building to be sustainable, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. So
And
I
like on
think,
top of that, like to add to that, like even like, like I was reading that Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, he's like the richest guy in the world now.
Right.
This guy only makes 3 decisions a day. And it's like, you would think, okay, this guy is like, you know, super powerful, runs this big company. He's probably hustling, but it's like, like his main thing is just having such a clear mind. He gets perfect rest every single night because those decisions are big decisions. It's not like,
Right.
he's not making decisions like, oh, what are we going to eat, like stuff like that, or
Yeah.
what to feed the employees. Like he's thinking like his decisions are so big and they're like, 5 years, 10 years out. Like that's where his decisions really come to fruition. So, that's why, it's also about like the quality of the work you're doing versus the quantity of the work that you're doing.
Yeah. Absolutely. What do you think of a character like Jeff Bezos? Not Jeff
Uh,
Bezos, sorry, Elon Musk.
I think Elon Musk is a genius. Um, yeah, he's like a real life movie character, Tony Stark in real life.
By the way, guys, Elon Musk, just for those of you who don't know, Elon Musk is the guy who started Tesla. Well, he didn't really start it, but he's kind of the face of Tesla,
And SpaceX.
SpaceX, and uh, the Boring Company. All
Oh,
these
Neuralink.
Neuralink. He's kind of an
Yeah,
adult prodigy, if you will.
yeah,
But I heard that he would regularly just sleep under his desk in a factory. And this guy's a billionaire, uh,
yeah.
sleep under his desk. He's, at his job, sitting at lunch tables of his employees. And he really has a very interesting
Yeah.
life.
I mean, to each their own. I mean, it depends on what you're doing, your perspective. Because I know like Elon Musk, he's one of the guys that's always like he says that he works like nonstop. Uh, so it all depends on what you're doing, who you are, right? So
All right. Yeah,
yeah.
man. So tell me this, right? If you were to go back to the very beginning, and you can define where the beginning was in your entrepreneurial journey. Can you tell I still have problems saying that? But if you could go back to the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, and you could just tell yourself one sentence, only one sentence. You can't bust out some sort of speech. It's just one sentence. What would you say?
Um, I'd probably say make sure you enjoy life in the moment. Like, don't forget to actually enjoy the present moment because when you're building a business, like it's all about the future, right? It's like you just be so focused on the future, but like in all that, like also like you got to plan for the future, all that stuff. But yeah, and it just don't forget to enjoy the moment, spend time with your family, do things you like outside, business and things like that. So yeah.
Okay. So basically enjoy the path as much as you enjoy the destination.
Yeah.
So to speak. Okay.
Yeah. Enjoy the journey.
All right. Yeah. And listen, man, that sentence, I'm gonna apply that to myself. I mean, sometimes I'm guilty of getting so locked into the vision, where I want this to go, where I want this to
Yeah.
be, and you kind of lose sight of the here and now. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm guilty of that. I'm trying to work on
Yeah.
that myself.
Yeah. I've definitely been guilty of it too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think a lot of that comes from being like goal oriented.
Mhm.
And in your mind, you can very clearly see the vision of where you want to go. And you have an idea of the work it's going to take to get there. And
Yeah.
so you get locked into making sure that you're putting forward that work as much as you're looking out into the distance.
Yeah. And like a lot of times the journey can be super exciting. Like the hustle can be exciting. And like if the hustle is exciting, that's great. But I mean, as I said, some people are just like, I just ate ramen for 10 years, like it's like you don't have to kill yourself, and it's like you're just living like trash for like 10 years. And it's like there's certain things that you missed out on. Like 10 years later, it's like, okay, you got, you got to your goal, you got the nice house, the nice car, the all this money in the bank and all this stuff. And it's like you look back and it's like, I'm pretty sure a lot of people might be like, okay, is it worth it?
Right.
It's like you might have lost a lot of your friends, a lot of family, messed up a lot of, other things that are not irreplaceable. So yeah,
Yeah. Or things
yeah,
that are irreplaceable. Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
That's what I mean. Yeah, irreplaceable. Yeah.
what would you say are some things that people are generally unaware of in terms of the mechanics of the internet, and things that you kind of wish that they knew or were aware of?
So the internet is a very powerful tool. Um, as I think it's quite evident now, in 2021. But for anybody who is wondering whether or not they should do it, whether or not they should take their business online, like 100%, like it doesn't matter what business you have, you should try to figure out how to get online in some way, um, and try to get online in a way that is as similar or more closely aligns whatever goals, skill sets you already have. So if you like to write or things like that, maybe you got to get online and become a subcontractor for a news website or a content website or whatever. And like you could use those websites I said before, like Upwork, Brew, and whatnot, to find those types of gigs, or Fiverr or whatnot. If you like graphic design or Photoshop, and you're working with your local businesses and things like that, go online and you could probably get clients overseas and things like that. Or if you have a local business that supplies, clothing or whatnot, start up an online store and, set up a page, figure out your logistics so you can ship overseas and things like that. Um, and yeah, online is a very powerful thing. And, any business should definitely be trying to figure out how to get online in whatever capacity they can.
Right. And now you mentioned this, but I want us to kind of go through the life cycle a little bit. So let's say, for example, that I sell socks. That's what I
Mm.
do. I'm a sock specialist. Nobody makes socks like I do.
Yeah.
And today, as we speak, I do not have any sort of online presence. In fact, I don't even really know about any of the social media or SEO or anything like
Yeah.
that. But I want to get my sock company. That's the name of the company, by the way, the sock company. I want to get the sock company online, and I want us to start getting some sort of return on investment for our online presence in the short term. Like, I want to get on there and immediately start seeing something. What do I do? Like, what does somebody like that do?
So if you have a sock company, the first thing I'd say is get an Instagram page up. Instagram is a very powerful tool, especially for visual type of like products that are visually appealing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have like really beautiful socks, really beautiful clothing, Instagram something you want to get up, and you don't have to pay to get Instagram up. It's super easy to get up and running. Number two, I would say set up an Amazon store or eBay store. So start selling your stuff on Amazon and eBay. That I think there might be a minimal fee, like a monthly fee,
All
to get onto those platforms. But there's already billions of people, going, to those sites, so you can kind of leverage the traffic on those sites already, and they manage a lot of the stuff for you. Like Amazon, for example, they'll manage all your logistics for you. Like you literally don't have to do anything. Like they'll ship the stuff out from their warehouse. They'll do everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So. And then on top of that, eventually I would say get a Shopify store. Um, you could sell the stuff from your Instagram page to your Shopify store. Also, Shopify, you have a monthly fee for that. And Shopify might be a little bit harder to get up and running, but they have a few templates. So yeah, first I'd say Instagram up, start trying to sell on Amazon, and then set up a Shopify store. Those three things to really get up and running as soon as possible.
Okay. And that actually brings me to another thing, because in the Caribbean, I think we have a lot of roadblocks that are not experienced in the North American countries like Canada, the US. In fact, only a few days ago, or about a week ago, I saw like I had to send in an email to a company like, why can't I monetize this thing? Like, oh, are
Mhm.
you in the US? No, but like, well, yeah, we can't do anything for you, right?
Oh
And
man.
so sometimes I have to use VPNs. For those of you listening, a VPN stands for virtual private network, and it's a very smart way of showing that you're actually somewhere else, which is not where you actually are. So I have to use VPNs to kind of fake my location, kind of sometimes. Not all the time for any of the big companies who might be listening. But I really wish that some of these large tech companies could democratize the internet a bit more, to the point where people around the world had some of the same opportunities that some people have in the United States or in Canada or the UK. It seems like a lot of things are locked into only those three countries, you know?
Mhm.
Um, so I just wanted to plug that in there for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. Artificial intelligence. It's funny how you just say the word and everybody.
Yeah.
What do you think? How do you think that's going to impact the internet in the long term?
I think it's gonna make um a lot of things, like especially marketing. I think it's gonna have a big impact on marketing. A lot of, like right now, we do a lot of advertising manually, where we're manually launching campaigns. We'll check on the campaigns, and we have tools that we could automate to a certain degree. With artificial intelligence, it's going to allow the space to get a little bit more competitive, because companies will be using pretty much calculations and robots and software and stuff like that to automate all their campaigns, scale their stuff. And it's a lot more efficient than using a human, because a human, you have to manually check in on campaigns and stuff like that. And obviously humans need to sleep in a day, but it's like you have AI managing your campaigns and making decisions for you 24/7. Then that you know that is something great. um but yeah, artificial intelligence is a good field to go into. I actually have a cousin who's actually going into artificial intelligence, in Jamaica, actually, studying, I think, at a school in London. So that, like, yeah, artificial intelligence is a really good field to also go into, as a side note.
I think a lot of people. I think a lot of people are afraid of
Mhm.
artificial intelligence. What are your thoughts on the potential downsides of artificial intelligence?
Well, I mean, if you watch iRobot, it kind of like you like obviously there's going to be downsides to artificial intelligence if it gets into the wrong hands, as with anything. But I feel like as time goes on, we'll kind of learn how to adapt, and how to make it safe. 'Cause, I mean, you look at like nuclear weapons, for example. Like nuclear weapons are very dangerous, and we've had, like, negative things have happened in the past as a result of them. But I feel like in the current day, we've got a decent control on them. I hope to think we do.
That's the
So,
understatement of the century.
I would
The
hope, but there
man
you go.
said, the man said bad things have happened. They dropped it on people. Like,
Because like, I thought it, but I was like, wait a second. Yeah, that was a really bad thing that happened. But yeah, like, yeah, we might have some bad things that, now I think about it, some bad things might come as a result of artificial intelligence.
yeah.
Um, but I think in the long run, we'll figure out how to deal with those type of things and get it under control. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think much like other technology, like we had the advance of the internet, we had the advance of radio and TV um, and all of these new technologies. I think there's a learning curve that society has in terms of how they're approached and how they're used.
yeah.
Um, so I could see how in the short term, as artificial intelligence is implemented, there might be a mistake or two.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, some real expensive mistakes.
yeah, there might be a
Yeah,
mistake or two, but I think in the long term, I think we're good at realizing, oh, that was bad. Let's
yeah,
not do that. And I can only hope that that's the case.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. Um, yeah, so I think that's about it from me. Do you have any questions for me?
I think that's it. Like, I just want to summarize, like the main value points I would give to anybody that's watching this is, if you want to start a business, you know, or start making money on the side, uh, you don't necessarily have to like do all this, crazy stuff. Like you can start small, just get yourself out there with whatever skills you have, like upwork.com, major, like that's super key. You got guru.com, freelancer.com, fiverr.com, put gigs up on those sites and, just offer whatever services you have. And, as time goes on, you'll learn from the people that are hiring you. And, you could take initiative and be like, okay, I'm really good at what I'm doing now. What else do you got for me to do? Or I'm interested to learn this. And that's how you kind of build your skill set. And it's a less riskier way of starting a business. And there's a lot more moving parts to starting a business. And, you can get very frustrated along the way. And the internet's moving so fast. So even a lot of times these guys who are selling these gurus, quote unquote, that are
Mhm.
selling these courses, a lot of times they're selling courses because they've stopped making money on what they're selling the course on. And then when they sell the course, they're making more money selling the course than they did on what they were selling the course on.
Right.
And then they brag and they show their Lambos and their big houses and all this stuff. But the Lambos and the big houses and the yachts and all that stuff is what their courses paid for. So, like I've just gotten super skeptical of a lot of these gurus and stuff out there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like if you want to start making money on the side, yeah, definitely check out those freelancer websites. Start, doing gigs online. Another thing that's really good is, you can also learn how to code. Code's a really good thing. One good site that's really good to learn how to code for cheap is codeacademy.com. I think it's like $200 a year, and you have access to unlimited courses. So I mean, that's significantly less than any
Yeah.
university you go to. So,
Right.
yeah, like those, yeah, that's kind of like the gist of what I would recommend for anybody that's trying to, um, you know, start doing something online as like a side hustle.
Yeah, I instantly have two questions there. The first one being, um, how much would you say that education itself is changing and evolving into something a lot more decentralized and less formal? Because, like, take for example, Code Academy. Uh,
Mm.
I'm sure you could learn the vast majority of what you learn in maybe even a computer science course um, between Academy and like Wikipedia.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
so what do you think is happening to traditional education? Do you think it's changing in the face of the internet in any
Yeah,
way?
I think it's significantly changing, especially for stuff that you could learn on your own. Like obviously, your stuff like becoming like a doctor, an engineer, stuff like that. You're obviously going to go to school. Like
Right.
you don't want to be having a doctor who read a Wikipedia article doing surgery on you. but but like things like, I think for marketing, like coding, all that stuff, like you could get all the knowledge you need online. And a lot of the knowledge that you get is a lot more present. Like I remember there's this one radio station here, like they had a motto. It's like if you're reading it, it's history, but if you're hearing it, it's news. So it's like if you're reading something, if you're reading about coding, it's like what you're reading might be something that's not even like a common best practice today anymore.
Right.
Like that, you could probably be reading about a coding language not even used anymore, or it might have been super developed. So The benefit about online learning is that it's more up to date, it's more current than what you would get in a textbook. And yeah, like I highly recommend it. Like even for me, I was doing Code Academy for myself, but I'm still in the middle of a course right now. And like, yeah, it's dope.
Just out of curiosity, what are you learning?
It's the introduction or fundamentals to front end development.
Okay. Uh,
So yeah.
yeah, that actually reminds me, we haven't talked about, is it print?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Can you tell, and let's try to break it down as much as we can, but can you tell the audience a little bit about print?
So print is a tool that we're developing internally. I I hired a developer to help to pretty much build a tool that we use internally for our own clients. And what it would help us do is like we get all the reporting in one dashboard, and we could also get reports on everyone who's running campaigns in the company in one dashboard. So like kind of, and they have like a leaderboard to kind of compete with each other.
Mm-hmm.
We could also run automated rules on the campaign. So like, we're not going to be watching our campaigns 24/7, but we can, run rules. So if a campaign's losing money or if the ROI drops to a certain point, the software will automatically pause the campaign. And, it just took a lot of work off our plate. And now we're trying to pivot the tool to become a SaaS product. So a tool will let other marketing agencies use for a monthly fee to help them with their agency when it comes to running Facebook ads and Instagram ads.
All right. So basically, to break that down, you basically decided to create a tool to make advertising more efficient, more profitable, and make more sense for companies to invest in, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually interested in trying out that tool myself. uh,
Yeah.
uh, Part of the Iyanola Pitches marketing strategy does include Facebook ads. And so we definitely want to see if we can increase the ROI, which for the viewers and listeners refers to return on investment. We definitely want a great return on investment there, which for us means more eyes, more successful ad campaign, right?
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about print. When do you think is going to be out of the beta?
Hopefully within a month. But
Okay.
obviously, with development, there's a lot of bugs that come up, and it's really hard to put a specific date. And like, I don't want to rush the release, and then you rush in. There's like a buggy product that everyone just gets really annoyed using. So
All right.
I'm just waiting for it to actually be in a good state before I let people start using it.
All right. Yeah. I wish you all the best there. I hope it does well. Um, Yeah, and listen, man, I want to thank you for joining us on this episode. Folks, y'all know I always have to check, keep y'all up to date. We will be back on April 26th. April 26th, you can expect another episode of Family Reflections. This episode has been very informative. If you were able to follow along, we talked about a part of the internet and digital marketing that most people don't hear about every day. In fact, most people aren't even aware is happening. A lot of people, I've realized, don't even know that Facebook is not free.
Yeah.
You're paying to use Facebook by giving them your data, your
Yep.
life, your likes and dislikes, and they're able to leverage that and monetize that for businesses. So for me, if I were asked the question, what do I think the public should really be aware of about the internet? That would be the main thing. There are algorithms that are very efficient at pulling your information and
Yeah.
tailoring commercial interest towards you. And so I think it's very good to keep that in mind.